Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the ET8 Challengers Cup here on the PC platform. Here for round 5 of 6 at Spa. Great track with great scenery, great people, great country at Belgium. But normally it's a track with the greatest possibility on the calendar with rain. But we don't run rain here, so that's not an issue for today. But it's a great track indeed, and I love it. I don't know many people that don't like Spa. Um, it always delivers great racing. It's a very long track and the longest on the calendar, and that never really seems to spark many issues. The only issue it would spark is if you end up being into turn one, you've got a very long crawl back to the pits. So apart from that, there's not many other issues. It would have been a really long track. And having a look at the top 10 quickly from last week at Silverstone, obviously, Ismail Fassi took a great win there. Had Duncan Hoffland who took second, his first podium, along with Yannick Schmidt on his first podium as well. Both of those two never been on the podium before until last week. And this Van Poelke finishing fourth, along with Nelson Alves in fifth. Cameron Dowds, very nice, come back to sixth. Andres Lopez seventh. Schumacher in eighth. Ivan Santamaria in ninth. And I believe he started 17th. And then Bansa Bacogna, who's looking for a podium, had an issue on the last few laps and dropped all the way down to 10th. So yeah, very interesting grid today as well. I was going to wait to get into the lobby because we're just setting that up and looking at the standings as well going into this round. Technically, Ishmael Fassi could win the championship today, but he'd have to win, and Van Bents and Dylan would have to score practically no points, and possibly even Jan and Ruben could still be in this. So yeah, very unlikely that Ishmael can win it, but the possibility is still there in a dramatic turn of events. But looking through, obviously, Ishmael sitting on 59 ahead of Van Poelke by 11, who's on 48. Then Banza Bacogna obviously was leading the standings going into Silverstone, but unfortunately, after only scoring 1 point, he sits himself on 37, which is nearly 20 back off of, 22 back of Ishmael Fassi. Dylan Warren sits fourth with 31 points, so he can close in on to Bent today, which would be very nice. And Jan and Ruben drawed the same on 25, with Yannick Schmidt sitting in 7th with 23. Then Chana Kinchi on 20, Cameron Days on 19, and Duncan Hoffland with 18. So lots to play for in the championship, especially for Benson Dillon, Jan and Ruben and Janik, and also Chan. And then also you got Cameron and Duncan who are also looking to gain on people. So realistically, if Duncan was just say he won today, he could literally jump up to like 4th in the standings. So for today, a great performance will definitely pay heavily for those 4th and below, of course. And I believe we are going to get into the lobby very shortly. I'm just waiting for Ishmael to load the lobby, and the lobby is loaded, so we can head into the lobby. When it loads, there we go. Just want to get myself sorted out, and we can continue. So we had a few new people in here today as well. I've noticed one new person noticed on the grid. Of course, it's a difficult name for me to say. It's Enrique Trevigiano. Trevigiano. He's racing in Williams. Not quite sure where he's from. I haven't seen him much at all in the past. I'm just going to pass it back over to the screen so you can see the grid. There we go. So just looking through before, I think we're going to get one or two more in. But we've got Ishmael Fassi, Jack West, Sanchez Lopez, Al Trexfer. He's another new one. I believe he's one of the Spanish guys at ET8. Jan Halliday, Sergio Sobrino, Alexander Dimas, Ben Sabacogni, Max Wiesel, Corne de Baca, Van Poelke, Nelson Alves, Tamas Gal, Enrique Trevigiano, Mike Klein, Ivan Santamaria, and Valentin Tyvard. And that is all the grid from today. Hello, Jeremy in the chat, welcome in, and hello, Altrexfa. Hopefully I say that name correctly. I believe it's Spanish, and I'm not one for Spanish names at all. And yeah, I think we're going to get ready to go soon. Obviously, the qualifying format is a full qualifying session. So you've got the 3 qualifying. You've got qualifying 1, which is an 18 minutes worth of bottom 5, or everyone who's 16th or below gets knocked out. Then you have a Q2, which is 15 minutes, and that is the 11th to 15th being dropped out. Then finally, you have Q3, which is the top 10 shootout, 10 drivers, the 10 quickest from Q2. They move into Q3, have 12 minutes to set the best possible lap time for the starting grid for the Grand Prix. And the Grand Prix is a 50% race, as it always is in leagues, which is 22 laps around here, which is different to... It shows the difference in track length as well. Because for the same length of race, you go to Brazil, you do 36, which is 14 extra laps. So yeah, it does show, it does kind of prove how long this track is compared to the others. And talking of the track, we'll have a little look at it on the screen. So here we are, the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, 4.3 miles, 7.004 kilometers, the longest circuit on the F1 calendar. Obviously, we've got the two DRS zones down towards turn 1 and down towards turn 5. That's the Kemmel Straight, and down towards the Source. 19 corners. Obviously, you go all the way through the track. You go into turn 1, La Source, hard braking zone. You want to be able to shut the car and be careful on traction on the exit. Then you head up Eau Rouge Radion, turns 2, 3, and 4. Then in towards Les Combes at 5 and 6. Then through towards turn 7. Brussels then at turn 8. Then you go in towards No Name at turn 9 or 10. And then you go into Pau. After that, you've got Stavelot, I believe, if I'm correct, or the chicane, then Stavelot, I'm not quite sure. I need to brush myself up on the track a bit, but then near the end of the track, you have Blanchemont and the bus stop chicane. Everyone knows those parts of the track indeed, and we are getting into the lobby, so we'll move over to the main screen yet again. And we've got Danny Puso in, so that's another new driver I haven't seen before in here. And these drivers might be well known, but I don't really get involved with the Spanish community because I'm not Spanish, so it wouldn't make sense for me to. Hence why I don't know a couple of these in here, and I'm sure the Spanish people in chat will definitely know who they are. But we are just going to get everything on the stream shortly. There we are. Let's load into qualifying. And it's dry, as it always will be here in this series, as it's always going to be dry. No rain, no chance of rain, all 0% chance. I'm just going to sort this out. There we are. So we've got 19 in, so 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, or the bottom 4, will be the ones to drop out. Looking through the group, we've had a few new names since we last looked through. We've got Danny Puso, we've got Tim Bayer, we didn't see him join the lobby. I think Andres Lopez, I'm not sure if he was in the lobby when we looked. Yeah, definitely a couple of new people since we had a little look through the grid. Just going to get everything sorted on the screen. There we are, and we've got people going out. Isam Pookie, I believe he's one of them. No, he's not. It's the other Aston Martin, which is Nelson Alves, who's heading out to track onto some intermediate tyres. We're going to put the tyre graphic on the screen for now, just so we can see if people go out on softs, inters, or even wets in some cases, just to test everything, make sure it all works. We can see Alves goes out on inters, and Enrique goes out on some soft tyres, along with Mike Klein as well. So they're taking they don't want to take that preparation on. I think they just want to get out there and get some lap times on the board. And those are the only 3 out for now. And we've got Jack West. He's just headed out the pits on some wet tyres. So obviously doing a bit similar to what Alves is doing, just making sure everything works. Same as Wiesel. But we will see for the first time in a while actual lap times being set at the start of the session, which will be from Enrique and Mike. So we'll just stay on board with Enrique for now. Obviously, haven't seen him anywhere before. Don't recognise the name, but I'm sure if anyone in the chat recognises him, tell me who he is. Like what leagues he races for. I presume he'd be in the ET8 league, and I presume he's part of ET8 somehow. Hence how he's here. But as I said before, not 100% sure. But we go through out of Stavelot, and I'm just trying to remember all the corners because you have Stavelot and you have Paul Frere. That's the exit. Then you have Blanchemont, obviously, which is coming through now. Then you have the bus stop chicane at the end of the track. And Sergio Rubio, thank you for the Prime sub, 22 months. Thank you very much, very, very appreciated. But back to the action. Enrique is about to begin his first lap of the session as he goes wide to get a nice line out of the corner, out of the bus stop chicane. Now with the DRS heading down in towards turn 1. We'll see what he can do on this first lap, the opening lap of the session. Just after the 100 metres, breaks the car in down to 4th. Then you want to go very nice on the throttle. Very nice there from Enrique. On the throttle, really nice and early at the start of this session. Then he goes all the way up now towards turns 2, 3 and 4. Eau Rouge Radion, very difficult section to get right, but if you can get it right, and you can get it perfectly right, you can gain so much time with just that specific line. Now, you head down the Kemmel Straight with the DRS, of course. You want to hit around 342 kilometres an hour, possibly. As you go into the braking zone at Lacom, about 50 metres, you shut the car and down to 5th. A little bit wider there, so that could definitely lose Enrique a little bit of time. But no, sticks it in 5th all the way through. Heading down in towards Brussels now. The horrible braking zone, very easy to lock up and go wide. And Enrique going a little bit wide there, had to set the curb as he heads into no name now. Hopping the curb completely, goes very wide there. That isn't an invalidation, but it looked like it could have been. He's going to head into Poo just chuck the car in, a little bit of brakes, then you want to feed it all the way around, go a little bit wide to meet the apex, then you bring it back at the inside as you're heading towards the campus chicane now. All going very wide for Enrique, not taking that ideal line, but it is the first run, and he invalidates, which is a big shame there, and that is all of Enrique's first effort over. He's going to get back in again now, get back out onto some new tyres. And there we go on board with Mike Klein, who's coming through that second sector now. He's heading through the campus chicane, takes it nicely, doesn't invalidate, however. As he comes through into Stavelot, then goes a little bit wide as he goes purple, then goes into Paul Frere at turn 16 as he now heads through in towards Blanchemont very shortly. This is a pretty simple track in these cars. In a GT car, it's difficult, but in an F1 car, you just throw the car around. No issues whatsoever at Blanchemont. Then he heads down in towards turns 18 and 19 at the bus stop chicane. Brakes down to 3rd, throw the car in. Then you want to shift to 4th on exit. Get yourself, Mike leaves it a little bit late before shifting to 4th there on exit. And he sets a 43.26 on as the first lap time of the session. Danny Puso is also beginning in the lap shortly. He's on an 8 lap now, just heading up towards the bus stop chicane. Along with El Trexvat, who's also heading out on track now in the Red Bull. So we'll see what Danny can do in the first part of this session. Heading out of the bus stop chicane, heading down to La Source with the DRS, of course. Want to break it up just after the 100-metre ball, throw the car in down to 3rd, back up to 4th on exit. Misses the apex a bit there. So could compromise him a little bit of a time, possibly about half 10th to a 10th. He's now heads up towards Eau Rouge Radion. Very nicely there, and obviously with these cars being pretty high on downforce, it's very easy to take that corner compared to GT cars. You want to go flat in them. Oh, that sometimes ends very badly, of course. And Danny heading down with DRS now in towards Lacom. Breaks at the 50-metre ball, throws the car in, hops a curb on entry, then rides a curb, of course, for rotation through there. And very nice for Danny so far, taking it very smoothly, not pushing too hard into Brussels. The braking zone of the downhill right-hander, going to be very careful with there. And Danny takes that perfectly now through into No Name. Heading now down in towards Pillon. A little bit of a straight before you get to that. 6th in 7th. And then goes down to 6th in Pillon. Though. Danny taking a very different way through there to many of the drivers. In towards the campus at the chicane now. Pretty textbook work from Danny. Let's see what he can do shortly in that middle sector. As he comes through Stavelo, what that middle sector will be a 1:15 dead. And now in towards turn 16, and he spins, just took a bit too much curb up the inside there. And that can really throw the car, and as you can see, just sent in red. It looked like he tried to catch it, but unfortunately, just not able to do so. We'll go on board with Al Trexvat, the Red Bull, now heading through in towards turns 2, 3, and 4. Eau Rouge Radion, of course. We go through. Very nice start there. DRS going to be opening in about 100 metres time. And he now charges down towards, well, through the Kemmel Straight, down towards Lacom. Yet again, a very difficult place in this game with obviously with the traction in the rear of the cars. It's very easy to spin here, and our tracks are taken down to 4th, and you can see a bit of a snap to 5th. So it could have been a lot cleaner than it was. So he's definitely going to have chances to try and improve on that. Now he goes in towards Brussels at turn 8, keeping it very nice that inside line. Perfect line for Al Trexvat. Now through in towards No Name, now in towards P1. Doesn't stick in 7th, so goes at 8th, then shifts down to 7th, stays in 7th all the way through. Very nice line there from our Trexler in the Red Bull. Now he heads through in towards the campus chicane. Obviously wanted to take some curb, doesn't take too much, and he has a bit of a spin. You have to either take lots or none, otherwise you'll cold spin, and he spins at the exit of the second part of the chicane there, and just a bit too much power. And it's just sent him right round, and nothing that he could do about that, of course. And that is all the action on track, really. We've got Tim Bayer, who's on a set of inters. He's heading out on track now. Just going to get his first run in. Just going to make sure everything's sorted out. Hasn't been out on track yet. And I don't think Tim has taken part in the ET8 Challengers Cup yet here. So it's nice to see another new face in the league. Obviously, Tim's been in many different PSGL and WOR and things in the past. So Yeah, it's a name we see quite a lot. And Enrique back on track again with an outlap. He's on set of soft tyres, but Tim coming down to the end of his first set, obviously at 30.7, and he's invalidated down at Rouge Radion, and obviously around the track like this, you're not going to be quick at all on the inters because the track's so long. There's more time for you to lose, so your time will be considerably worse than everyone else on these inters. Whereas some tracks like Austria, you've got 10 corners, very short corners, so it's very easy to stick within a second or two on inters because, well, maybe 2 or 3 seconds on inters because there's not much for you to. There's not many mistakes you can make, really, is there? And actually, looking at the grid, we've got Ivan Santamaria onto a set of medium tyres. So taking a very different. Well, at the moment, looks like he's taking a very different approach to many others. And now, here we are, all the cars heading out on track to get ready to begin their first laps. Tamas Gal, I believe, leads this little train with then, well, Enrique is a bit further ahead. So I suppose we can say this train here of cars is led by Tamas Gal. Obviously, I believe sitting 15th in the standings in the Challengers Cup at the moment for esports. So he's not had the start he would have wanted, but it's his first year. I believe he's one of the youngest participants. I believe he is 16. So, there's definitely more chances in the future. And Danny Puso gets disqualified. So now only 3 people can drop out, which at the moment is Jan Halliday, Al Trexfer, and Ivan Santamaria. And Ivan hasn't had the best start to the season at all, with I believe in Imola and Silverstone both being out of Q1, which is definitely not good. Obviously, they're going in towards round 5. Hopefully, he can get himself out of Q1 this time. He's on mediums, however, so I can't see him being that quick on those set of tyres compared to the others. But we'll go with Tamas Gal now, who begins the first few lap. Well, the second should be considerable that time of the session, as obviously Mike Klein set his first lap a while ago with a 43.2. Tamas should be miles quicker than that, of course, as he comes into the source. Now, out of there, back and early on the throttle, that's one of the Red Bulls heading out the pits. I believe that will be Al Trexler again, heading out into pit lane. And Tamas coming through, Rouge Radion, DRS will be open shortly. We'll be able to see at the end of this straight what sort of setup Tamas has got in terms of wings. We'll have to see how quick he is. He does 340. 341, 342. So pretty low wings for Tamas Gal. 343 hit before entering the break-in zone. 29.979, I believe, in that first set. And actually, Tamas stays in 7th through there. So not sure if he meant to do that or if that is the way he takes that corner. But if it is, I've not seen many people do that at all before. Now in towards No Name. Bit of a slide coming out of Brussels. And one of the Williams going off track there. That will be Enrique. So he won't be completing that lap at all. And now Tamas in towards P1 now, just throws the car in, swoops it round as heads in towards the campus chicane. We've seen many people make mistakes here, so let's see what Tamas Gal's able to do. So you're going to eat that curb completely, and then eat the other curb as you come round out of the chicane. Now you ride down in towards Stevelo. Just break the car into 5th, keep it in there, then you're going to get back on the pose. You come through into Paul Frere at turn 16, just swoop the car around. Don't take too much of the inside curb, otherwise you will end up spinning the car around. And Tamas taking that very nicely now, heading through in towards Blanchimont. In many other cars, difficult corners to take in Formula 1 cars, probably one of the easiest corners on the track to take, because heads now in towards the bush stop chicane, the final corner for him to conquer. Down to 4th, obviously the DRS there will be activated on exit. Stays in 4th, very feathery on the throttle there, but makes it up to the line. It will be a 42.3, a second quicker than Mike Klein. And Jan Halliday is also on a lap time as well. He's heading through in that middle set to Max Wiesel, goes even quicker than Tamas Gal with by a thousandth of a second, that is, with a 3.33. Ben Sabaconnier 10th off with a 4.84. He slots himself into provisional 3rd. But corner to back is heading up to the line now. And Ish Van Pookie, 0.5, so 2/10 of a Max Wiesel. So normally, Istvan's right at the top. Nelson Alvarez goes into 3rd. Jack West goes quickest with a 42.287. The first one into the 0.2s today. What can Alexander Dimas do as he heads up towards the line? It'll be a 0.8, puts him into P7. Valentin Tyvard heading up to the line as well. And I believe that was Jan Halliday going up into 5th with a 4.82. We'll see what Valentin can do. He's heading down in towards the braking zone for the bus stop chicane now. Should be a pretty decent time indeed up to the line. What will it be? To be a 42.2, puts himself into provisional P2. Ishmael Fassi only just beginning his first lap of the session. And now Trexler, he's on a lap as well. He's heading through towards No Name, so we'll look at him for now as he heads through. Obviously, he was looking to complete a lap in the session earlier, but couldn't get it done as he had a spin then at the exit of campus. Or some people might know it, just the exit of the chicane, turns 14 and 15. He now heads down in towards the chicane yet again, and he just doesn't eat that curb at all. You know, many people just jump over the curb. Even I can try it sometimes if I do drive. And I've seen that is the easiest option. Can be a bit unstable on the rear, but it gains you lots of time. Because obviously you're taking that ultimate line. And Altrexat coming through that middle set today wasn't able to catch what his split time was, so we'll have to see what he can do at the end of the session. And also thank you 167SB for the follow welcome into the stream. And obviously we head down in towards the bus stop chicane. Very nice there, down to third. Keeps it in third, wants to shift up to fifth. Oh, and doesn't shift up to fourth either. He stays in third through there. That's a bit of... You'd think he'd shift up just to get a bit more power on, but obviously not. And he goes into 13th to a 43.441. And Andres Lopez as well. Surprising, he's on a 43.3. So he must have made a giant mistake there because he should be realistically in the 42.4s or even higher. And this one, Pookie thinks 0.5 is good enough, which is fair because there is much improved for everyone else. But yeah, he's pretty confident at the end of this Q1 session. And Max Feast also retires Tamash Gal. So surely Spencer up should retire as well. Tim Byers coming through. He's invalidated on his time, so he won't be improved on his lap. And we've got Sergio Sobrino, who's on an out lap as well, one of the Spanish guys here. Obviously, not representing ET8, but he's representing the Spanish culture here in the ET8 Challengers Cup. And also seen back racing again. Sergio seems to have lots of unlock. No, what's the word? Doesn't seem to get much luck, that's it. Because in any league of commentating, he ends up being either taken out or has a giant skill issue in the race. So Sergio has no luck whatsoever, and it's not like he's slow either. He's very, very quick, but it just seems all odds go against him when he enters a race, especially in PSGL as well. Many times where he could have ended up on the podium, but then he gets taken out, ends up last. And like in Saudi Arabia, he was hunting for a win in PSGL, but unfortunately ended up finishing, I believe, 12th because he got taken. Well, he had an incident down at turn 1, and that lost him first and second and all the way down to 12th, which is a big shame, but now he's on a lap. It doesn't matter what he can do here. Surely he can get himself out of Q1. As he heads down into La Source, down to 4th. Throws the car in. Mike Klein's retiring on his lap time, so doesn't think he can improve, or maybe thinks that should be fine. But at the moment, if everyone else behind sets a lap time, that's quicker than Michael B, down in 16th. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's the most ideal thing to do, but Mike obviously knows what he's doing. So we're going to head down in towards Lakon very shortly with Sergio Sereno. What can he do in the first sector? It's a 29.891. Very nice first sector there for Sergio. I think a 10th off about what Jack West... no, 10th of what Tamash Gal did, sorry. He did 29.7. So we're going to head down into Brussels at turn 8 with Sergio down up to 5th, and he can just drag the car through. Sergio doesn't have much, like... The car seems really stable, doesn't it, for him? Many drivers we can see just trying to throw the car in and just hope for the best, and Sergio just throws it in and the car just works how he wants it to. So the car behaving very well for Sergio, which is great. That could also be due to a high wing setup. I'm not quite sure, and also something to do with the suspension and the transmission. All of those key parts, which make the setup, of course, and heads down in towards Stevelo, then in towards Paul Fret at turn 16. Purple in that middle sector of 14.704. So very decent start here for Sobrino as heads up towards Blanchemont. Very nice then, and he rides all the way down in towards the bus stop chicane. Should shift down to 4th. You throw the car in, take a bit of curb on the inside of both corners, then you can just try and your best just to go flat at the exit. And he does very nice there, and he gets himself into the top 10 with a 42.8. So obviously not the fastest lap time, and... Now we've got Ishmael Fassi. He's on a lap time. He's coming up toward the line. Where can he go? Oh, doesn't set a time. So Ishmael Fassi currently in the drop zone, so he needs to get this to work now. But as I was saying with Sobrino, not the quickest, about 6/10 off of what Jack West did, but it was stable. And he got it to the end pretty easily. He could have took a bit more risk and finished to the 0.5, but then he would have been like, well, I could have spun a lot higher up, so was it worth the risk? Because surely he can get through out of Q1 now. Trexfer's also retired, and Enrique's retired, so we'll see what Ishmael Fassi can do. So he's got to get a lap in now. Even if obviously Ishmael's normally at the top, so for him it would be a bad lap to beat some of these guys. But at the moment, Enrique's out the session. Ivan can get himself out, so can Tim. They're the only ones, along with Ishmael, that can get themselves out of this Q1 session. Danny got disqualified at the start. Enrique's retired in 16th. Ivan goes up to 11th, so that pushes now El Trexva into the danger zone. He needs to make sure he doesn't get beaten by Ishmael and Tim, and I'm sure Ishmael should be quicker than him, of course. We go through. Andres Lopez also is going to be on a lap time. We'll see where he is. He's coming through that middle sector. So yeah, currently Ishmael at the bottom of the grid is the one closest to the line, so we'll go and just work our way through. Ishmael 14.0, that's 5 tenths quicker than what Sergio, no, 7 tenths quicker than what Sergio Sobrino did. So this could be looking for even a 42.1 possibly in this session. So he should have no trouble whatsoever getting himself out of this qualifying session. Into bus stop chicane, 16th third, back up to 4th on exit, and you ride the curb a little bit on the exit as you head up towards the line. It'll be 42.145, puts into P1. Now we've got Tim Boyer next to come across the line. Altrexford into the drop zone. Tim's got to get himself out of the drop zone by just getting at least a 43.3. Up to the line, what can Tim Boyer do? It's a 42. No, it's a 43.0. Now that pushes Andres Lopez into the drop zone. Andres Lopez out of the session. He's one of the ones I thought would be through. So that puts Mike Klein through just by a few thousandths of a second. But yeah, Andres Lopez out of Q1, which is a big surprise, of course, to me, because normally, you know, he's part of Parnell, very quick community team, very quick drivers, and yeah, 16th isn't ideal. So the drop zone and going out of Q1 is Danny Puso, Enrique Treviño, Altrexva, and Andres Lopez. So 3 of the Spanish guys in the league gone, which is a big shame for the Spaniards. But Ishmael takes first, so he can compensate for that with a P1. Mercedes taking a 1-2. And Jack West sitting in second. He's very nice. He's obviously been getting some good practice in. And Ty Vard also always been a great qualifier in this series. And Max Wiesel making an appearance here. Very surprised he didn't get to challengers. And I'm still confused why he isn't any challengers. So maybe he's doing the Pro X or the time trial. But surely he's quick enough to be in challengers, I thought. But I don't know at all. And we head through towards Q2. And this time, the bottom 5 are drop takes, not the bottom 4, the bottom 5, which will be 15th, 14th, 13th, 12th, and 11th. So at the moment, it will be Nelson, Ishmael, Cornet, Ivan, and Jan. But I can't see that being a possibility. And Alex says Max just doesn't want to. Oh, that's a surprise. But fair play to him, of course. Can't knock him for that. And we get everything back on the screen now as we head out for Q2 and everyone getting straight out onto track. Well, 3 at the start. We'll be in an Alpine, McLaren and a Ferrari. And we'll go on board with Jan, who's in the middle of these 3 as they head through into the pit lane on towards the track. All on their used tyres, I believe. We'll have a look on the data screen. There we are. So all on used tyres. Would be nice if there was... It would be nice if there was some sort of option where you could see if they knew or used tyres, because you can't see it all. You've got to try and guess, realistically, and just think of what the driver would... Well, what you think the driver would do. There's no indication to if they're on used or new. So, on board with Jan, those tyres look new because they're shiny, but you don't know. So we'll just have to see what time we can set, and then we can try and figure it out. We've also got Alexander Dimas, Max Wiesel, and Sobrino out on the lap. Sorry for sounding really like stuffed up. I literally woke up from a nap 20 minutes before the race. So I got up and I thought, oh, it's not ideal. I'm on live in 20 minutes. So I had to rush around, get everything sorted before I could get back. Because I went to a fair today, and 4 hours of standing in the hot sun is not ideal. I'm actually very tired, of course. So I got home and just fell asleep straight away. So yeah, I woke up and I thought, oh no, I'm late. And then I thought, well, we've got 20 minutes. So I had to rush. And I'm still waking myself up. So I've literally got a drink next to me. Just to try and massage my throat. Because it's very dry, of course, after sleeping. But enough of my waffling, because Jan Harday is about to begin his first lap of the Q2 session. Obviously, Jan sitting, I believe, 4th or 5th in the F1 Esports Challengers Series. Obviously, having a great 2 podiums in round 2 Australia and round 3 Imola. But unfortunately, in Silverstone only got 1 point, which is a big shame. but he is still, I believe, in that top 5. And obviously, anyone who finishes in the top 6 does have, or will have a chance to get the Esports Pro license, I believe it's called. And that is also the same as, I think it's everyone in Pro X or something, along with the top 6 in challenges, I believe, that get an esports license. And Jan sticking it to 6th all the way through there. So now shifting down to 5th just keeps it in 6th all the way through that section. You know, heads down into Brussels. He'll shift down to 3rd. Bit of a lock up though, has to go a little bit deep. So we'll lose some time there as he now comes through towards No Name. Throws the car in, misses the apex completely. Very scruffy lap so far for Jan Halliday. Definitely not what he wants to set on the board. And he now goes in towards P1. Going a little bit wide, having to lift off. So yeah, Jan having lots of struggles on this lap so far, but it just could be just to get a bank run and also to get yourself a bit of delta. Because psychologically, if you can improve by 6 or 7 tenths, and it shows on your delta, you're improving by 3 tenths in set to 1, 4 tenths in set to 2, 5 tenths in set to 3. You just, it's weird, but you psychologically think you're doing better because you're improving. So, you know, I don't know how to explain what I mean, but I know what I mean, and any other people that can relate to what I mean will know. But we come through now, Blanchimont in towards the bus chicane with Jan Halliday to set the first lap times of this Q2 session. But yeah, he's very scruffy, and Jan thinks, yeah, I don't want to set that on the board, I'll go back into the pits instead. Sabrino is invalidated, so he will be going probably for another run or heading back into the pits. Bayer has also invalidated, Alexander Dimas hasn't invalidated, so will be the first driver to set a time on the board, and it will be a 43.6. And I believe that is all the times being set on the board for now. We've also got Ivan back out on mediums, and Cornet, who's out on the soft. So 43.6 is the quickest time in the session. It was a 43.2 at the start of Q1, which was from Mike Klein. And Mike is in Q2 as well, which is definitely a surprise. But well done to him, of course. And Cornet, as he's going to be getting set up for his first Q2 run, along with Ivan Santamaria, who's heading actually through Rouge ready on as we speak, so he shot off up the road without me noticing, as he now heads down towards the end of sector 1. What will it be? In this first sector, 29, it'll be 30.0, so to be fair, that first sector, considering us on mediums, isn't too bad, but then again, it is literally a straight. It's literally one corner and a straight, practically. So, very easy to just be within a tenth or two in that first sector on slower tyres and used tyres. And it comes through towards Brussels, obviously, as well, but with the mediums, you get a little bit, it seems you get a little bit more grip. As well, which is surprising because mediums should have less grip. And you know, dead to the hards which have even less grip. But either taking it's pretty simple, pretty easy through this lap so far. Now in towards the campus chicane before heading down in towards Stavelo, and Mike's going to go into some mediums as well by the looks of it, and we'll see what Ivan can do in his first run. It's a 15.2, so that is actually very decent. On those tyres. So we'll just see what he can do at the end of this session. He's got Blanchimont, shouldn't lose much time through that. Then the bus stop chicane, that's the only real place now he can lose lots of time on his lap. He's going to go through. And the car just ahead of McLaren. That's ruined Ivan's lap completely there. One of the McLarens, not sure who that was. I believe it was Sabrino. It was Sabrino. So Sergio, they're just blocking completely from Ivan, and that's not going to make Ivan happy at all. Because that should have been that should have been 43.3 maybe. So, and on the mediums as well. So yeah, Ivan not happy about that. Cornet de Baca is coming through now on the soft tyres this time. He's going to be heading up towards Blanchimont shortly. Should realistically be quicker than a 43.6, but we'll have to see how his lap would have gone in towards the bus stop chicane. Now to third. A little bit deep, however. Could lose some time from that one as he now comes out the final corner. What will it be? As he heads up to the line, it'll be a 43.6. Puts himself first by 17 thousandths ahead of Alexander Dimas. Only 2 lap times being set on the board so far. So people need to get out and get some laps on. Tim Bayer has invalidated yet again. So that's his lap 2, I believe, over. And Benson Baconia, he's warming up now to begin a lap. Many drivers now on out laps in this session to begin their first runs. We'll go on board with Benson Baconia yesterday, or not last week, sorry. I remember him at one point saying he's going to struggle to get out of Q1 and Q2. Then he put it second in Q3. So Ben's having a complete change throughout the qualifying in Silverstone. And so far in this session, well, in Q1 did pretty decent. He's got to see what he can do in this Q2. He's heads up towards Okay, well, straight now. With the DRS open, of course. We'll see what speed he can hit before he hits the braking zone. 340, 41, 42, 43. So pretty low wing setup for Bents. Taking 343 before hitting into the braking zone. Then he sticks it in 5th, up to 6th. He'll go up to 7th, and he'll break possibly down to 4th or 3rd in Brussels. And then you'll want to use the gears along with the curves for rotation as you head through No Name, which I believe has actually got a name, but I don't know what it is, so I will sort of refer it to as No Name. And now Kanye coming through, P1, very decent there, back up to 8th, and we'll shift down to 5th or 6th in towards Campus, sorry. Back up to 6th on exit, get a bit more traction and rotation in the car. Then you're heading towards Stavelo at turn 15, then turn 16, pull flat. Very nice, you can just swoop the car around as you take the inside line as you get ready to head up towards Blanchemont. Obviously, this corner you're going to take very wide an entry, otherwise you're just going to go completely off track. If you take that on the inside line, that's going to end badly. So some corners, obviously, you can take the inside line to the apex. Corners like that, you need to take the outside line. Go as far wide as you can. Tamashkal, 41.983, the first driver into the 41 so far. Where can Zabakonya go? Just on the brink of the 41 with a 42.062. Max Wiesel into 3rd with a 42.145. Isvan Pookie into 2nd. We'll see what Jan Hade can do as he's heading up now down in towards the bus stop chicane. And Valentin Tyvard goes quickest with a 9.71, so very decent that time there. We'll see what can Jan Hade do as he heads up towards line. It'll be a 42.046 and puts him into P4. Mike Klein's also on a lap now. He's on the medium, so he won't be that quick, and he slots himself into 10th with a 44.1. Jack West there getting a bit of a tow from Tim Boyap and from the AlphaTauri there. And I believe that's Max Wiesel when he's gone off down at Lacombe. So that lap time there ruined for Jack West. So at the moment, the bottom 5, the people who will be dropping out the session is Ivan Santamaria, Ishmael Fassi, Sergio Sabrino, Tim Boyer, and Jack West. But we still have got times for one more run, or maybe 2 more runs, depending on the driver's run plans in the session. So it can all change at the bottom of the grid, and it probably will, because you can see we've got 43.6s, 44.1s. Really, they wouldn't even make it through to Q1. I mean, no, they wouldn't make it through to Q2. So surely they won't make it through to Q3, of course. But the top guys, Valentin to Nelson, separated by exactly 0.2 of a second. And then also, you got Isvan down to Benson, those 3, separated by about just over 30 thousandths. So the grid very close. And also you got Tamash and Valentin, separated by about 100th of a second. And then Max and Nelson, separated by about 300ths of a second. So everyone in their own respective groups of each other. So you got 1st and 2nd, 3rd to 5th, and 6th to 7th. And then also you got 8th and 9th, 43.600 and 43.617. And Tim, yet again, invalidated. So he's invalidated 3 runs so far, as he's now going to head up towards turn 1 to begin another lap. He's got to get a solid act on the board now. Even if it's in the high 42s, just to get something on the board, because otherwise he's completely out of qualifying. Jack West has entered the pit lane, so he's going to have to rush in, get a new set of tyres and get back out. And also got one of the Ferraris. That's Halliday. He's going back into the pits as well. We're just trying to see what the time is on the board, because I can't see the time on the timing tower, so I can't really tell how long we've got left of the session. But Sergio Sabrino's on an out lap now. He's heading through that middle sector currently, and Jan's going to enter the pit lane just about now. And we've got 3 minutes and 23, so drivers will be getting ready to head out shortly. So Sergio and Tim taking their final runs a bit early, but that could also be that if they make a mistake, they can run it again. And Tim has already invalidated again, which is a big shame for Tim. Also, it could have been that he invalidated on the exit of the chicane and it invalidated him for the next lap, but I'm not sure. So yeah, big shame for Tim, of course. Having 4 runs in this session so far and not getting one run actual time on the board. And Sergio is just sitting ahead. He will be getting ready to begin his final run of the race and the qualifying session. So is Ivan Santamaria, who's heading at the pits as well as Sabakonye. So no one really thinks they're safe at all, because Sabakonye is what? Less than a 10th off of Valentin, and he's going out on track. So yeah, it seems like we will get everyone out on track because Valentine thinks 41.9 isn't safe for the end of Q2. Oh, and Tim nearly DNFing at the wall there, got very close to it. And Sergio going to be setting, well, hopefully going to be setting a run in this lap. He's got one chance if he messes up this one because he's got 2 minutes at the end, 2 minutes and 10 seconds as he goes across the line. But realistically, wants to get a very nice lap in at this point in time to get himself through to Q3. Modesto Mendes joined, so either he's just joined for the sake of it, or he will be taking part possibly in the race, where he'd start last, because there is one slot open, remember, for P20. And now Sergio heads up towards the Kemmel Straights. We'll see what he can do in this first sector. It's an improvement. It's 29.991. About 10 cent what he did in the last session, I believe, which was a 29.8. He's now head through. Very nice there from Sergio in towards Brussels down at turn 8. And his Q1 time was a 42.8. So obviously in this session that would not cut it at all. You'd be out possibly straight away because you'd be slotted into 8th, and Cornet, Alexander and Mark could also be improving. So realistically, Sergio wants to be in the 42 flats, the 41 nines. And we go through in towards Stavolo now with, I believe that's Jan Halliday sitting just ahead. He's going to move out the way. Very nice from Jan, of course. It's a 14.3 in that middle sector split for Sergio Sobrino. So that's a 42, I believe, 42 low. If that's correct, or 42 mid maybe. And actually, Sergio's in a bit of trouble because there's loads of traffic down at the chicane. This could end very badly for Sobrino in towards bus stop chicane, and that's Nelson going straight on, or Pookie, just to avoid, and everyone just having to dart out the way. The last opportunity in Sergio does a 42.5, and no doubt that final sector and that final corner would have thrown it off because he nearly hit the back of the Aston Martin. Luckily, the Aston Martin did be nice enough to just go straight on. He couldn't, he didn't have to, but he chose to. So that's very nice, of course. And that was Nelson Alves, I believe, who's sitting on the lap. So I know he's heading towards the end of that first sector. We'll see what he can do in this first sector. It's a 29.7, so he's down by a 10th, though. So that's a big shame for Nelson. So he's got to figure something out in this middle sector. Max Wiesel's heading through the middle sector as we speak, and Team Bayer is out of the session, so he will start probably 15th because Ishmael and Ivan only need to settle that time for them to get ahead of him. But currently the bottom 5 going into the end of Q2, it's Mike Klein, Jack West, Team Bayer, Ishmael Fassi, and Ivan Santa Maria. So currently 4 of the bottom 5 can improve. So that could drop anyone else into this bottom zone now. And it seems everyone being out means no one thinks they're safe at all. So the time should crumble down realistically if people in first and second aren't sure about their times being through to Q2. As we head down now, and Max Wiesel about to get to the end of this lap time. Sabakonyi goes quickest to 41.811. Alvin Santamaria up to 10th now, so he's probably out the session. Jack West into 4th. So now Cornet de Baca and Alexander Demas dropped into the bottom 5, where can Max Wiesel go up to 7th. So that could be a bit of trouble for Max Wiesel. I think Sergio, he's not on a lap time, and Cornet de Baca improves but stays 11th with a 43.6. And there we'll see what can Alexander Demas do as he heads into the braking zone of the bus stop chicane. Currently sitting in 12th, has got to get at least a 42.7 to get out of the session. And can he get himself through to Q3? No, yes he can, barely, but now it's down to Ishmael Fassi, who gets through to 8th. That pushes Alexander Demas down. I think Mike Klein's out of the session. Yes, he is. So Mike sits 14th. So the bottom 5 heading out of Q2 now. We've got Team Bayer, Mike Klein, Cornet de Baca, Ivan Santamaria, and Alexander Demas. And actually, Sergio Sobrino making it through by nothing. Literally nothing. The gap is 0-0-0 between Sergio and Alexander. So yeah, Sergio literally made it through by nothing, which is definitely a sigh of relief for Sergio, because he set the lap time early enough that it didn't matter. But Alexander, he will be so angry with that one. Of course he will, because literally the exact same time, and it's dropped you from going through to Q3. So big shame, but Sabakonye goes quickest. This time Pookie second, and Jan Halliday into 3rd as well. I wasn't really focusing on the top guys. I was seeing who's going to be dropped out. But yeah, you look at the bottom 5 and it's not really much of a surprise at all. So I think that is a typical bottom 5 you've seen that session, of course. And that is due just due to the natural skill gap in the cup. You know, there is people. I don't want to say better than others, but you know, respectively, has a bit more performance. But going through to Q3 is Bent Sabakonyu set the fastest time with a 41.8, just 62 thousandths ahead of Isom Puka. Then Jan Howdate slots himself into third. Then we have Valentin Tyvard, Tamas Gal, Jack West, Max Wiesel, Ishmael Fassi, Nelson Alves, and Sergio Sabrina all making it through into Q3. And Ishmael, surprise of the session, I thought he'd be in that top 3, top 4, considering he set his lap dead last. So yeah, P8 obviously it doesn't matter because he threw to Q3 by nearly 5 tenths, but still means he's slower than the other 7 ahead, which definitely isn't good. Especially when you lead in the championship going into this round, of course, by 11 points to Isam Puki, who is second in that session. But it doesn't matter what you did in Q1, it doesn't matter what you did in Q2, because it all comes down to Q3, of course, and this is where we might see some more risk from drivers, because if you're, like, for Ishmael Fassi's sake, he's in that bottom zone, he doesn't want to ultimately push when he's sitting 15th, because if he messes it up barely, he's done, you know, literally. So, you know, we might see a little bit of hidden pace from some of the guys in this lobby, and also some might not want to give it all away in Q2. You know, they might not want to give everything they've got, just for a bit of a surprise for Q3. But a very typical Q3 session, which we've practically seen all season. You know, there's many drivers in here: Pookie, Fassi, Halliday, Kanye, that we've seen in practically every Q3 session that have raced in or taken part in. I believe we're going to get ready to get a few cars out on track, hopefully soon. We'll have a little look through. I'm going to guess who the first one will be out. I'm going to say the first one out will be Valentin Tyvard for some reason. I just think that's going to be the first person out, so we'll see. Last time I was actually correct. It was Kanye who went out, and I had my view on Kanye. But we'll see. Because you've got absolutely no movements in the pit lane yet, and it seems that they always like to leave it late into Q3. Obviously, that also works on the timing plans. And it won't be Valentin Tyvard out first. It will be a Williams, I believe. It will be Tamas Gal who heads out onto track first. Obviously, top in Q1, was 5th in Q2. Would definitely not to be top in Q3, of course. That's the best opportunity for a race win. And Tamas, I don't think has won yet. I don't think he's been on the podium yet either in this series, which is a big shame. I'm just going to say that quickly. And we've also got, yeah, everyone, well, a few heading back onto track now. Tyvard, Sabrino, Alves, and I believe that's one of the Alpines. That's Spencer Sabakonyi. Yes, it is Sabakonyi. As we head through now. And I'm actually happy that we've had no issues whatsoever for the past 2 weeks. Silverstone and here, we've had no issues at all with the stream, which is it's a god bless. Not having to constantly worry about the PC crashing. And to be fair, the stream itself, I'm looking at the stream on my other screen, and it doesn't even look, it looks quite good. So, yeah, that's a great thing to take away. No issues whatsoever. But the only issue I have is, obviously, because I'm watching Tamash, I've got my first screen, which has got the game with Tamash driving around. Then I've got the second screen, which has got my Streamlabs with Tamash driving that I can see. And also the Twitch stream, which is also Tamash driving. So I literally got 3 views of him. 2 of them the exact same, and the other one about 5 seconds back. Then I head through. Into the final corner, Tamash Gal. Obviously, got a good chance here to try and get himself. Well, he will be on provisional pole at the moment if he sets a lap time because he's going to be the first to set it. But realistically, he wants to get a great lap time in this part of the session. This is now where it all comes down to. This is where the cookie crumbles. Whatever you do here really, really harms you in going into the Grand Prix. If you mess up in Q1, it doesn't matter. You mess up in Q3, you're going to drop all the way down to 10th. So, you know, Tamash needs to make it perfect. Doesn't want to push too heavily on this first run, though. You just want to get a great banker lap in. Then the final run is where you can literally be like, right, you know, let's just push. And just hopefully you can get a great lap time. And he could buy energy on the session, but I also thought that Modesto Mino was in the session. So, We're not going to have 21 drivers unless someone else left the session. I'm not quite sure. But Tamas Gale coming through that second sector now, did a 29.7 in Sector 1. As you know, heads down through No Name, now in towards Poo 1. He's got to try and get this section right as well. Very nice there, as he swoops the car through. Very decent. And he's on new tyres as well, so obviously that will also mean he can be pretty quick on this first run and doesn't have to worry about nursing some used tyres to the end of a lap. As you know, heads down in towards Stavelo now at the braking zone. Very nice, just throw it in. And now in towards Paul Frere. And purple middle sector of 14.019 for Tamas Gale. Very nice first sector on his first run of the session. As you know, heads down in towards Blanchemont. They'll just throw the car in. There you are. Well, you haven't really got to throw it. You just got to turn the car very smoothly into the corner. Now you have the bus stop chicane, the final corner to conquer. And Tamas just brakes in, chucks the car in. Pretty simple. Then you want to get nice and early on the power. On the exit, you head up towards on, it'll be a 42.012 for Tamas. I thought it was going to be a 41, but no, it tricks at the end. And we've had invalidation from Tyvard, invalidation from West, invalidation from Kanye. And Anna Alves also with an invalidation. That would have been a 41.8. And we'll now go on board with Jan Halliday. We haven't spoken much about him at all. So far, and Ika, I don't know what Modesto Hijo de Puta means, because I don't speak Spanish, but I believe puta means something quite bad, or something, or some sort of insult, doesn't it, in Spanish? Modesto is a puta, I believe that's what that could say, maybe, I'm not sure. But Jan coming through this middle set, well, coming in towards the final set today with one of the, I believe that's Max Wiesel ahead. He will also be setting that time in the session, and I believe he's going to set it. Yes, he will. He hasn't he has invalidated, sorry. So, very little runs being set at the end of this Q1. I think we'll only get about 4 or 5 runs. Well, lap time set. We'll see what can Jan Halliday do as he heads up towards line. Be a 41. It will be a 41. No, it will be a 42.033. Ishmael Fassi, what can he do? And it will be P2 with a 42.013. So 200 separate the top 3. And this Van Pookie, 4/10 quicker, a 41.6. So maybe I said that 300 separate the top 3 too soon. Because as soon as I said that, someone goes 4/10 quicker. And now, we've got Sabakonya. He's on a lap time now. No, it's not an actual lap time at all, is it? And Tyvard will also be heading to the pits. And, oh, Jack West is reversing. I'm very intrigued to find out what he's doing. I'm so confused. Maybe he's just reversing to then go straight so he doesn't have to worry about getting disqualified. But I suppose he wants to limit as less time as possible by not going... Yeah, I know he's going back into the pits, but I just don't know how he's not been disqualified. Very clever. And, and he's... Well, that's one way to do it, isn't it, Jack? At all, definitely. And, yeah, no other time's been set just yet. Genius, it is, yes. Many people would end up getting themselves disqualified on that, so Jack did it pretty well, I suppose. And spin from Halliday. It seems people are invalidating so much around here. Like, you know, I might be doing 44s, but I can go through a qualified session with getting all my laps on. People just invalidate way too much, and I'd love to see there was some sort of graphic to figure out or see where people invalidate the most. It would be really nice to see what parts of the track are the most lethal. Because we've had, 5 runs set in Q3. We had many incidents in Q2 with people invalidating. Tim Byer did about 17,000 runs and didn't get 1 lap time on the board. So many people messing up, and if you max Jack, Valentine, Bensel, and Elson, you're not going to be happy. And this fan though, just 4/10 quicker. Surely he's going to be on new tyres and the others on used. There's no way he's gone 4/10 quicker than everyone else. But if he has, bravo, of course, to race fan. And everyone back into the pit lane. So we're back to where we was before. Why do you not have ultra graphics on? Because I want a working PC at the end of the stream. If I put it on ultra, the PC would die. And yeah, that's not good, is it? So I'd like it on ultra graphics, of course, because I hate it on these graphics, but it's just annoying. And I'm too poor to upgrade on PC. I bought it for it was bought for £1,000 about 3 years ago, and I've not got two. Well, I got told that if I wanted a significant upgrade, it would cost me about 3,000. It's like an old, yes, it's like an old PS4, but an old PC, yeah. It's just crumbling at the pieces. I've got no side on the left side. I've got no like case on it on the left side of the PC, so I can actually let air go in. Otherwise, the PC just overheats. And that could also be my bad management of owning a PC, because I don't know anything about them. So I just kind of, yeah, just let it do what it needs to do. But yeah, and this is actually, speaking of the PCs and stuff and the graphics, this is the first time this season that we've had no issues with the PC. Every other race we've had an issue, whether it's something to do with the game, something to do with the PC crashing, the internet going. This is the first time we've actually gone issue free. And I've probably just jinxed that now, because I guarantee in about 3 seconds the stream will probably shut off. But now everyone back on their outlaps for the final runs of Q3. Obviously sitting currently on pole is Istvan Pukki. And if he does finish on pole and he does win, then he takes it to the final. Well, the championship will be taken to the final round in Brazil. Where it will be Ishmael against Istvan. Because I don't think... Well, now I'm starting... Yeah, the possibility of Ishmael wrapping it up today is literally impossible. I've got a higher chance of winning 50 million on the lottery tomorrow. So, yeah, Ishmael should just be able to keep... Realistically, wants to keep his gap ahead of Istvan. His main goal in this session, in this race, is just finish ahead of Istvan Pukki and Bentz and the other ones involved. Obviously, Dylan Warren's not racing, unfortunately, again, so he's not involved in this championship anymore. Ruben's not here either, so he's not involved, so it does close it down, of course. But if Jan can get a great race in, that could also help him work his way up into the final round of the session. Into the final round of the championship, sorry. But Jack West now, heading up towards the lot. Hang on. Why did my screen just say it was 30 seconds on his lap? That was a weird one. But yeah, Jack West now beginning a lap and heading out of turn 1, heading down in towards turns 2, 3 and 4. Very, very shortly. Obviously, Jack needs to get a lap time. I'm currently sitting in 7th. At the moment, if he did set a lap time, he'd be sitting in 6th. So, you know, if the others make a big mess up, technically he could just start 6th from a really bad lap time. But what does he do in that first sector? 29.857 as he heads in towards Lacombe shortly before going down in towards Brussels at turn 10. Okay, I'll keep saying turn 8, but no, it's turn 10, which is Brussels. Throw the car in, down to 3rd or 4th. Very nice from Jack there, and you can hear him shifting up there. So I believe he did go down to 3rd. Now in towards No Name. And taking that very nicely as he now heads into Puon. Just want to throw the car in as easy as you can. And takes it a little bit wide, but makes it through. Now you go down in towards the campus chicane. You have to get a very difficult place to get right. Can invalidate easy, can spin easily. But Jack takes it pretty nicely. Jack's been on a pretty decent run, just cruising along. He's not had to... It doesn't look like he's pushing ultimately, but the car just seems very, very nicely, nearly invalidating there. 14.003 for Jack West. So considering it doesn't look like he's pushing, he's doing a pretty decent lap time. And Ben Sabakonyi goes up to 2nd provisionally with a 41.746. But we've got still another 9 drivers to set lap times. So that time could either stay where it is or it could crumble all the way down to P10. But Jack West now comes through into the final corner at the bus stop chicane. We'll see what he can do in this session. Can he get himself onto the front row, or at least in that top 5? It will be a 41.9 and puts him into P3. We're going to look further down and we're going to look at Nelson Alves. And he invalidates. What can Valentin Tyvar do as he comes through? I think also Tamas Gal's heading up to line. We'll see what he can do. Where does Tamas go? He goes up and stays 4th, doesn't improve. What can Tyvar do as he comes out the final corner, sitting in 9th? Where can he improve to? He will be P1 provisionally with a 41.620. Istvan Pukki's up by a 10th and a half. So he could also be looking to get himself back onto provisional pole. We're looking at possibly a 0.5 for Pukki if he can get into these final few corners. Halliday going up to 4th, just a couple of hundreds behind Ben Sabakonyi. Ishmael Fast is also on a lap time, but we'll see what Pukki can do. Up to line, it'll be a 41.576, puts him onto provisional pole. Now, it's only Ishmael Fast who can deny this this pole position for Pukki. Can he get himself on the front row or even the second row? That would be crucial for Fassi now. And we couldn't see where he went, but where did he go? He went into 3rd. So Istvan Pukki takes pole easily. It was phenomenal from Istvan. but it was 44 thousandths. But in general, he has been top of Q3 the whole way. So we look at the grid now. So Ihsan Pookie takes pole position, the only driver into the 41.5s throughout qualifying. Then we have Valentin Taivar, who sits on the second place of the front row with a 41.620, followed by Ishmael Fassi and Ben Sabakonu line up on row 2. Then sitting in 5th and 6th on the 3rd row is Jan Halliday and Max Wiesel. Then we have Jack West and Tamas Gill on the 4th row. And the 5th row of the grid we have Sergio Sobrino and Nelson Alves. Nelson invalidated, so couldn't get a lap time on the board. And Sergio didn't improve on his previous lap time, so stuck down with the 42.1. But very interesting qualifying. And actually, the top 4, you've got the top 4, you've got Ihsan Pookie in 1st, Ishmael in 3rd, Benz in 4th, and Jan in 5th. Those are basically the 5 drivers who will be looking for the champion, with the 4 who are looking for the championship. So, very close. And Sabrino Seconde. What does that mean, Ika? Jack knows something we don't. What does Jack know? Oh, about the retired Twitch, yes. Or Mike, you're just a bit silly and you don't know anything. Bro, how? Hey, what, Xander? Or Alexander, I should say. Still unfortunate that you didn't get through to Q3 by 0.000 of a second. I said that you'd be very angry, and I presume you probably were. But we have 10 seconds to go before we begin the Belgian Grand Prix. Obviously, sunny skies, no rain at all. So we don't need to worry about getting wets and inters on, just the dry tyres. So we're going to have about 2 seconds till the countdown gets to 0, which it does. And we can very shortly look at the grid. There we are, Pookie on pole over Tyvard, down towards La Source. We have 5 lights. And lights out for the Belgian Grand Prix. Great start for the top 2 there as we head down into turn 1. Ishmael Fassi actually having a really good start. Trying to get, and I think he does get Valentin before the braking zone, but Valentin going a bit wide, going a bit deep in the corner to try and defend from Ishmael. They go side by side, heading down towards turns 2, 3 and 4. And Ispan gets a really nice start and keeps that provisional lead. There we go through. And Tyvard sits back into second, literally bump draft in the back of Ispan through that, through Eau Rouge Radion. There we'll see. Do we get any moves down in towards Lake Com? We got Ben Sabakonu looking for a move on Ishmael Fassi. And actually, Valentin's not going to get enough on Pookie to get a move. But now we have Ben's going around the outside, up the inside now at the turn 8. Into turn 9, has to lift off a bit. Jan Halliday hitting the back of him there. We've had a spin round. That is Modesto Mena and Danny Puso down at... And that's Max Wiesel, who's had an incident down at Lake Com. But very interesting first lap now as we go through. We're just going to get everything back on the screen. And Jack West looking to try and hunt down Jan Halliday to get a move into P5. Is he going to send it into Puon? Yes, he will send it into Puon, Jack West. Going to try and send it Jan a bit wide, which he does so. Could then try and help him in towards Campus if he can get something to work, but I don't think he will. There we got Sergio Sobrino under pressure from Tamas Gal. Basically lets Tamas through because he knows he's not going to be able to defend that at all. We look further up. Nelson Alves looking for a possible manoeuvre on the back of Jack West. Not close enough just yet, but Jack, that absolute dive bomb into turn 12 at Puon. He was not waiting around at all, was he? Just trying to get a move off. And Jack West still putting some pressure under Jan Halliday. And at the top, Valentin is just defending pretty well from Ishmael into turn 1. It looked like it was Ishmael's corner. Had a better line into turn 1, but unfortunately couldn't make it work. And then we're going to battle. This is Jan and Jack. This is for P5 into the bus stop chicane. Can Jan try and get a switch back coming out the bus stop chicane? And I don't think he will, because Jack did that perfectly. Now, Jan under pressure from Nelson Alves into turn 1. We've got Andres Lopez into the pits. Mike being overtaken and Andres retires. And there's dive bomb from Tamas Gal and Nelson Alves into turn 1. I did not see that one coming. And there we are over the rumble strips for Nelson Alves going off track and lose many positions. Then he's making contact with Sergio there. And Sergio also takes advantage of that and puts himself into P8. Max Wiesel now trying to catch on the back of Nelson. Can he try and make a move? Using all the ERS possible down in towards Lake Com. Can he try and get through? I don't think he will. He's losing time. So thinks actually, yeah, we'll save the DRS for now. The ERS for now. Just see what happens further up. And Jan Halliday getting overtaken by Tamas Gal down at Lake Com. So Tamas working his way through the field now. Started 9th, now up in 6th after sending some amazing moves on drivers in turn 1 and in turn 7. As we head through now. What can Jan do? Can he try and fight back at Tamas? I don't think he will. But further up, Jack West, he's going to be under pressure from Tamas as well, because Tamas is starting to gain on him as well as they go through that middle sector in towards Puon shortly. Alves sitting on the back of Sabrino. Sabrino sitting in 8th, so considering he started 10th, he's had a pretty decent start. So he's now sitting in 8th, and he's been overtaken by someone, and he's still gained 2 positions. So really nice start, just keeping it out of trouble for Sergio. And Nelson under pressure from Max Wiesel. This is for 9th position. And I believe Max would have got through to challenges, but after what Alex said in the chat, he didn't want to apparently. So, Max, you could class us on the pace of these challenges drivers easily. We'll see. Can he try and get a move? Because he's gaining 1.9 tenths, but isn't enough. As the gap does start to increase to about 3 tenths now. As we head down, and Enrique up to 14th, as I believe Mike's dropped down as well. He's down in 17th, so he's had an incident because he's moved down 3 places on the opening few laps. So now Jack West looking to gain on Sabaconye. The gap's literally about a tenth and a half going in towards the bus stop chicane. Also, Tamas Gal gaining as well. We could try and see a move from him, and he does send it into turn 1 of Jack West. Jack West turns in. They nearly make contact, and of course, that's why Tamas is quicker. He's on the medium tyres. So it makes a lot more sense now why Tamas is just charging through the field, and he now sits a tenth and a half back. But obviously, because this is practice for the Challengers event, we could see drivers take different strategies just to see what can work and what doesn't. And now Tamas with the DRS going down in towards the Laycon. Can he try and make something work? I don't think he will. But in the corners, that's why Tamas is so much quicker. Because I was thinking, he's charging through really, really quickly. But now it all makes sense. As we head through and looking to try and get something off on Jack. Not down into Brussels, but Jack actually looking for a move on Sabaconye, because Sabaconye went a little bit deep down into Brussels as well. And that's a very easy place to mess up. But because of the nature of the corner, it's very easy to mess up and then just keep the position still, because you can just turn in a bit more. Just make the other drivers go stubborn. Enrique fighting with Altrexva, and Altrex has spun. He's now down. Well, he's had a bit of a half spin because he's now dropped down behind Danny Puso, who's now up into 17th. He had an incident on that one as well, as he drops completely down. I think it was Modesto Mena he had that incident with. And Gal, looking to get a lot more closer to West. Can he try and get something possibly down towards the bus stop chicane? But I suppose turn 1 might be the best opportunity. We've had another spin. That is, I believe, Enrique. Enrique spun down, and he's now dropped down to 19th position. So a decent start, but has dropped all the way back down pretty much to below where he started. If you head through now, Tamas 3.6 tenths back. This is where he gets locked. He gets a big pace advantage going through this corner here. Going through the bus stop chicane. Now down into turn 1. Can he send it this time? I don't think he will. And no, he won't, because I believe now Jack West will be more defensive if he knows that Tamas is behind, because he knows Tamas could send it down to there. And it seems with this DRS train, the gap that Tamas has, it isn't really coming down anymore, is it, as much as it was beforehand? We go down, the gap's 2.5, 3 tenths in towards Lake Cobb, and because you just can't get anything done. There's absolutely nothing that Tamas can do at the moment, so that's the issue. When you're in this blockade of cars, this big train, which is going all the way down to 13, you can't make much work at all, even if you're on better tyres. And Tim Barr's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Just going to look a little bit further down the grid. We'll look at Nelson Alves, who's on the back of Sergio Sobrino. This is for fighting for 8th place. As we now head through, the gap's 4 tenths of a second. And Nelson had a bit of a snap there. Could also help Max Wiesel close in a bit more, which it has done, because he's now 1.7 tenths back. Now it's an opportunity for Max to try and get something possibly with the DRS down in towards the bus stop chicane, because the gap's 1.7 tenths, and I don't think it's enough, is it? We'll have to see. He's using his ERS. He knows it's possible. In towards Blanchemont now. Still with that ERS usage. Can he try and get it down into the bus stop chicane for Max Wiesel to try and take 9th position? Is he going to send it? No, he's not. He went for a dummy. So was going to send it, but then backed off and sent Nelson a little bit. Well, I don't think he went deep, but it definitely caught him off guard, of course. So it looks like Max was going to absolutely bomb it in towards turn 18. So we head through, and also watching Corner de Baca, who's on the back of Tim Boyer. This is for 12th place. Well, 13th, sorry, but Tim has got the penalty, so we'll drop him down drop him down the grid anyway. But nothing too harmful so far, because it actually would drop him down to 15th because of Mike having been 3 seconds back, so not too harmful really when it comes to that penalty for Tim, because he wouldn't actually, now he's in 14th, he wouldn't drop a position. And obviously no safety cars are here, so that you haven't got to worry about being held up by a safety car with the penalty. We're going to head down in towards Brussels, and Cornet getting clear of Tim now, and Max still on the back, and that's Enrique yet again having an incident. No, it's not. It's Danny Puso having an incident down at La Source. He's 30 seconds back of the grid now. And also, Enrique having a battle with Modesto. He's spun around as well. So, many battles going at the back of the grid. And I don't think they're the cleanest, because there's lots and lots of people spinning. We head through, and Tamash looking to gain now on Jack West. The gap's 3.2 tenths of a second. Down into turn 1, La Source, and another yellow flag. I believe that was Danny Puso again, down at the exit appeal on into campus. And Tamash now, 3.6 tenths back. He needs to try and get something done soon on the back of Jack West. A little look further down. Yet again, Max Wiesel gaining on the back of Nelson Alves, but can't get through. And that's the issue you have, especially with these hard tyres. At the start of the race, it's so difficult to make something work with them because there's that little grip. You can't send these dive bombs because the grip is just not there. So that's why we see more battles on the mediums, because you can actually push the car a little bit more. The hards are more about longevity rather than being able to battle with them. I don't get me wrong, you do see battles with them, but not many at all. And Tim By with another 3-second time penalty, so that would drop him down to 16th. And Mike Khan also with a 3-second time penalty as well. So, not the start to the Grand Prix that Tim and Mike would have wanted. Obviously, sitting down in 14th or 15th anyway, they're not going to be fighting for many points. And with the penalties, probably not going to fight for any points. At all, as we head through Ishmael Facet, looking to get an actually on the back of Tyvard. We could see a possible move for second position. He was at a spin down at Paul Frere. So he's now dropped down to 16th. So literally Tim's going to be dead last apart from Puso. There's Enrique's DNF. I didn't see that one. I think that was in the... Oh, that was on track because his car didn't come back out onto the track. So yeah, Enrique DNF'd on track. Puso with a 3-second time penalty. He's now a minute back. And we're going to battle. That's Tim Byte entering the pit lane. Should retire possibly now. Or just go into some new tyres. And now we have Ishmael Fassi gaining on the back of Tyvard. But not enough until turn 1 to make anything work. And nor is Tyvard in this van. And Bentz is out the 1 second. That is, well, he's back into it. But, you know, being out that 1 second is absolute critical for the top 3. For you, it's not good at all. You know, if we're on the POV of Bentz, because then we're under more pressure from Jack. But for Ishmael, Valentin and Isvan, that's what they need. Just to break away from the pack. And Daniel Puso again. Having an instant, he's now a minute and 17 seconds back. Interval, he's about a minute and 30 seconds back nearly on track. So yeah, definitely questionable of how that's happened. But this is what it is. And Valentin 4 tenths back, and Bent just about got himself back into that 1 second gap. So that also might mean Bent's going to have to push a little bit now just to keep within. Jack West also sitting 8 tenths back off Bent's as well. So those two fighting for DRS, of course, and then everyone else behind. You got Jan 4 tenths, Sergio 5, Nelson 5, Max 5. They're all chilling in that train, and they haven't got to worry at all. And yes, definitely the definition of Latifi, of course. We go through, and DRS for Bent. So he's got himself back into that train. So has Jack West and Tamash Gallant. The thing is now for Tamash, this could definitely be the wrong strategy because, yes, he's gained 3 positions, but everyone else pits onto mediums, he pits onto hards. He's at such a disadvantage because those tyres will be so much slower. And that's the issue he has. Because now 7 laps in, what advantage has Tamash got? He's literally got no advantage anymore. It's just like running the race behind these. So Tamash is at such a disadvantage now because he's going to be pitting onto hards. Everyone else on the mediums will be quicker. But we're just 7 laps in. you know, that it's a difficult situation, indeed. And now we're having a bit of a scurry around. Jan Herdijk trying to just figure out where he can get past Tamas to try and take P6. And Valentin Toivard gets a 3-second time penalty. That now puts Ben Sabaconi into provisional P3 and Jack West into provisional P4. That is really, really not what Valentin would have wanted at all. And that really ruins his race now. Because if he wants to keep P2, he's got to drag 3 seconds to Ishmael, which is just not going to happen. We head through now. Jan looking to actually gain on Tamas. Gaining a lot. Could we see a possible move now? Jan's got 90% battery. Tamas has got 43. So a lot more battery to expense for Jan. If he can try and make something work into the bus stop chicane, can he make it work? No, sits back for now. So we'll look for it possibly down into La Source. Oh, and oh no, Tamas pits. Jan stays out. So now Tamas will drop all the way down to around 16th, I believe. Or 15th, maybe. As we head through, and now that promotes everyone up a position. Ivan into the top 10. And Tamas down to 13th. We'll just want to see where he comes out compared to El Trexfat. This could be very close. Because he's coming out the pits now. Also, Modesto Mena could be right behind or right ahead. Where will Modesto be? Oh, and Modesto's going to come out behind. So Tamas is clear of Modesto, but now needs to get through on El Trex. And you can see that coming out the pit lane. Tamas had a massive snap of oversteer. And he's got to be careful on this first lap now, because these weather tyres are really, really cold and really, really dangerous. It's very easy to mess up now. So yeah, we are warming up the tyres, just weaving down the straight, down Hemel Straight in towards the comp. Just trying to get a bit of temperature into the tyres. That's what you need to do, of course. And we'll be looking to try and hunt down our Trexo. He's a lot quicker than him, of course. But we'll just see what Tamas will do. Because luckily, because the grid's quite separated 11th day, he doesn't need to worry about being in a DRS train. He could just gain on someone, get past them, gain on the next person, get past them. Type situation. And Mike gets a 3-second time penalty. He's sitting in 13th. That puts him to 6 seconds. So dropping down to 15 provisionally. Not what Mike could have wanted going into this at all. And Tim Byer, another 3-second time penalty. That's 9 seconds for Tim. Which is a big shame, and we've got 4 penalties on the board. Well, 4 drives with penalties, and it's a big shame that one of the top 2 have got a penalty for track warnings. And actually, looking further up, rush. We've got Jack West and Jan Herdijk in a battle, and Jack actually pits now. So he thinks this is the perfect opportunity. The issue is now for Jan, he's now going to be 1.2 back. He needs to get himself back into this DRS train. The gap's 1.2 seconds, 1.1. He needs to get himself back in a second. Otherwise, he's going to be under compromisation from Sergio Sereno sitting in 6th. So we'll just have to see what he can do. And spin. That's Modesto Mena, I believe, down at exit Blanchimont. And Jack comes out ahead of Tamas Gal. And we'll see if these two get side by side. Do they get through? I think Tamas will get through. And he does. Up into, I suppose you could say, the provisional league, because everyone else has to pit. But DRS for Jack West now as they head down in towards Lacom. DRS at usage, and being absolutely dropped there, and they're going to work together. You got the DRS flap, meaning kind of just like, you know, don't fight too well, just let's make it through the pit stop phase first. Or in the words, or I suppose you could say it's another way of saying hello and goodbye. So we head through, and now this is where it, well, Jack's got to be pitting really early, hasn't he? He's going to take these tyres 12 laps. Which I didn't think you'd pit this early for them, of course. But, yeah, it's, well, Tamas is going to take his tyres, what? 12, he's going to take his tyres 13. Jack took them 8. So, I don't know if that says anything about the tyre wear, or what they've got different views of when it comes to tyre wear, or if they just want to practice and try and see what works and what doesn't. Which I believe is probably the most viable option. There we are, we've got Sergio pitting. Sabaconi is also pitting. And Herdijk takes the fastest lap of the race. He's now going to be trying to charge back onto the back of Ishmael, but the lucky thing is, Nelson's 1.8 seconds back, so Jan doesn't need to worry too much about people gaining on DRS. And also, Jack got a little bit deep there, down into the bus stop chicane. As they head out now, where do these come out? We'll look at Jack West mainly. Where does he come out compared to Sabaconye? Sabaconye's going to come at the pits now. They're going to go literally side by side. Like what we saw with Leclerc and Alonso in 2022 Belgium. As we go through turns 2, 3, 4, they're going to go side by side. Bent's kind of lets Jack through as they go through now in towards Lacombe. Who's got DRS? Jack's got DRS. So now that puts Bent's under a really bad position because he's just going to have to try and lurch behind, and he's got Tamash behind with DRS. As we head through, and also Sabrina just 1.1 seconds back, needs to get himself back into the train as well. But this will be crucial, and you can see Tamash right on the back of Bent's, can't get through yet, but he knows that Bent's tyres are a bit colder, so that's why he will be slower on this open outlap, outlap, of course. And obviously none of the top three pitting just yet. Mike's had an incident, he's spun, or he's just dropped down and something's happened. Yeah, he's spun down at Pouon. So it looks like he spun before the entrance of Pouon, and there's a Mercedes going through. And that's Jack West, 1.2 seconds now ahead of Bent Sabaconye. So that DRS advantage helped heavily, because now Jack West has broken the train. And now the issue for Tarash is he needs to get through on Bent Sabaconye, otherwise he's going to be stuck in this broken train as well. With Sergio sitting 3/10 behind. So Sergio gaining a lot as well, and we have Ishmael Fassi in, Jan Halliday in, and Nelson, Max, Ivan. And then just the top two choosing to say it for the overcut. Modesto's left the session. So he's obviously either rage quitted or just thought, well, all his PCs just died and something. Or and we've got Danny Puso's out the session. He's retired on track. And he's retired on track as in the sense of just clicking the retire button. And now we have a little battle. This is Jack West. Can he try and get ahead of Ishmael? It's going to be close. And also we've got Bent's fighting with Jan Halliday. Also we've got Tamash Gal getting involved as well. But where does Jack West come out? Well, where will these two come out compared to each other? In Lacombe, the two Mercedes fighting side by side. Isfan and Valentin have had a bit of a battle as well. I'm sure they've lost a bit of time as well. Now, Jack West is ahead of Ishmael now, so this undercut has helped heavily for Jack West now. So now can we see, can Connie try and make something work? I don't think he will. But Jan's also come out. He's going to be sitting in provisional 4th, and that is ahead of Tamash. So it's not worked for Tamash at all, the way he would have wanted it to. And now it's time for Jan to try and get a little bit if he can on Bent Sabaconye. He cornered back and gets a 3-second time penalty, but he's sitting down in 13th place anyway. And Sabrina also, some pretty nice pace, just literally cruising 3.2 back off of Sabrina. And Valentin, another 3-second time penalty, puts him on to 6 seconds worth now. So he's under really bad compromisation. Actually, Isfan and Valentin must have had a giant incident. They're 10 seconds back off the lead. I mean, they're 10 seconds back off P3. So they must have had a giant incident, because a pit stop says, if I'm not stupid, he's a lot longer than 10 seconds. And Mike, 3-second time penalty again, puts him on to 9 seconds. Then also, what happens with these two? Because they're going to come out way behind, aren't they, at this rate? And Jack West will take the lead of the race at this point. Go through and, yeah, they're still even entered their pit boxes. They must have had a giant incident. I thought they just had a bit of a contact, but no, they're going to come out right behind this train. And now Jack West is the leader of the race. Leader of the race ahead of Ishmael Fassi and Bent Sabaconye. So a giant turnaround of events puts Jack West in the lead. And yeah, there we are. So Valentin comes out 12th and Pookie comes out 10th. But we just want to watch what happens here. Can Ishmael try and get something to work on Jack West? Because Jack has used a lot of VRS. And a lot less used for Ishmael. And that's also Sergio getting through and Tamash Gout. So these hard tires not working at all for Tamash. But he's 2 seconds ahead of Nelson. So he's got a bit of a, he can just push for a little bit more before Nelson can catch up and get into this train. Looking further down, we got Dimas fighting with Ivan and also Tyvard. Sitting 1.5 seconds back off this train ahead of Pook, well, behind Pook, who's actually leading Ivan and Alexander through this middle sector. And now Trexfat gets a 3-second time penalty, but he's down in 14th. As we head through and looking further up, Jan Halliday looking to gain a bit on Bent Sabaconye. Could be a podium possibly for the Ferrari driver. Sitting 2 tenths back. Going through to Stavolo. And that's a bit of a correction there. Loses him a little bit of time, about half a tenth. As we go through now in towards Blotchemont. And Ishmael still gaining on Jack, but don't think he's keen yet on making a move. Doesn't want to lose too much time. And sits back. We head through now, and actually, this is great for Fassi because Pookie, who's fighting for the championship now, he's down in 9th, so he's going to gain 2 points. Ishmael will gain 18 at this rate. So going into the final round, I think Ishmael won't win it because of Sabakonye. Because Sabakonye is still sitting in 3rd, so he will still gain some points. He'll only lose 3 off Ishmael, and Ishmael get through on Jack West now for 1st position. Jack sitting in 2nd now. A bit of a swap over, not too fighting between those two, just a bit of a, just get through. There's no point fighting hard because you're going to lose time to Benson, Jan and Sergio. But also, this strategy, what Sergio's done, helped heavily. He's pitted, I think, in that 2nd group, so he did pit 1 lap after Jack, along with Sabakonye, and he's now gone from, well, he was sitting in 8th, he's now gone up to 5th. So it's worked out heavily for him, and also that's Tim Byers' car at the end of the pit lane. That's going to be retiring on track now. So just 16 runners to go, and Modesto Mena 51 seconds back. So you've got to be doing some sort of data running, surely, because he's completely off the pace. As we go through, and Jan Halliday 3/10 back of Benson Baconyi still, and this, you remember, this is battle for 3rd. So, you know, Jan wants his podium, so does Benson Baconyi. Obviously, Bent's lost it in Silverstone due to an incident on the final couple of laps. I believe it might have been the last lap. So, he lost that completely. Now look at this. Nelson Alves is catching a lot on the back of Tamas Gal. So this could be really bad for Tamas because he's just gonna drop down now with this medium to hard tyre. I didn't think these hard to be this slow. They're a lot slower than these mediums, and the gap's gone from what, 2 seconds with a DRS train that Tamas is part of to 4/10 between him and Nelson now. So obviously Tamas has had the initial help at the start, but he started 9th, and at this rate he's going to drop down to where he started, because you're going to remember he would have been sitting 8th because Valentin and Istvan were leading that incident. So, you know, he's dropped more. And now look at this, Nelson gaining 1.6 tenths. Is it enough to get a move? No, it won't. It won't be at all. So Tamas just keeping ahead for now, and Alexander Demon's having a fight with Santa Maria. That was down at turn 5 at Lake Como. So now we've got Valentin Tarvar getting involved. The two Hasses battling for 10th position. And Valentin will be more like battling for 12th because he's got that 6-second time penalty. As we head through, and yeah, seems Santa Maria might be a little bit quicker than Dimas, because Dimas has dropped out the train to Pookie. Well, to Nelson, I suppose you could say. Well, to the lead train, isn't it, actually? Yeah, that is the lead train. I got caught off guard there. So yeah, if Ivan can get through, he needs to get himself back into that 1 second. Otherwise, they've got no chance of fighting for anything ahead of 10th. And I don't think, you know, realistically, you don't want to fight for 1 point, you want to fight for a few. And Nelson trying to get through on Tamas, because look at this, Tamas is actually on to lose a little bit of time to Sergio. The gap's 2.7 tenths between him and Nelson, and Tamas seems to be on pretty low wings, because not many people can be quicker than him in a straight line. Well, actually, you speak of that, he's one of the slowest in a straight line, by the looks of it, just by a little quick glance. And we've got moves happening left, right and centre, possibly down, and we've got these 4 here, which is Nelson, well, Tamas, Nelson, Max and Istvan, all looking to try and get moves on each other, down into turn 1 possibly now. Let's see, is Nelson close enough? He is close enough. Sends the dive bomb into the inside. Oh, and they make contact. Nelson gets half spun. Now Max Wiesel looks to try and capitalise along with Istvan Pookie. So now, Max Wiesel's going to be the one to try and hunt down Tamas Gal. And now we've got Nelson and trying to just get through everyone here. Gets through. Obviously, having his car ghosted. Now we've got them going literally 4 wide down in towards Lake Com. Now, what can happen to Tamas who's get eaten up? He's going to lose 3 positions in 1 corner. Tamas 6th to 9th down to Lake Com. So, yeah, it's not working at all. But so he definitely knows that is not the strategy to play in the Esports Challengers race. We head through, and now Pookie into 6th, obviously after having that incident with Tyvard, and Tyvard still sits in 11th. So Yeah, Tyvard having... You can make one mistake and then it just... You know, mistake after mistake. He had the 2 penalties. He had that incident with Pookie. And now he's just kind of stuck where he's sitting in 11th. Could be looking for 10th, but will lose it. Nelson Alves with a 3-second time penalty along with Max Wiesel. I didn't see Max get one. When did he get that? Because I did not... Well, I don't remember that happening. Let's have a little look on the penalties. Yeah, so it was 3 seconds. So, Tamash still can get into 7th because of penalties. But if Nelson... Well, if this lead train can run away from Tamash because of the tyre advantage, then Tamash could still get those positions. But, you look at the tyres, and now... Tamash is on 7 lap-old hards. The hards now will be getting to their prime time, realistically, in terms of being able to run the race. We've got a battle here. This is Istvan on Sergio, so we'll continue our talk afterwards. So Istvan now into 5th position ahead of Sergio. Sergio going to try and fight back, but isn't going to fight back too hard. Nothing he can do. So, Tamash's tyres now are in the prime time of a hard tyre. They've, you know, the grinding's gone. They've grooved themselves into what they need to do. And now we can just try and charge and stick with this train. But the mediums will get slower now. They're going to be at a disadvantage. So, there's a possible... I don't think there's a possibility Tamash can fight back, but I think he will be able to defend. And Valentin Tarvar there, getting through on Dimas, down in towards Lake Com. Puts himself into 10th, and Max now nearly a second out from Sergio. So this is key now for Max just to try and reel it back in as quick as he can so he doesn't lose more time. Pookie sitting 3/10 back on Jan, so he's going to be looking for a great charge through the field, is it Pookie so far? Did a splendid job. Came out the pit to P10, he's now sitting P5. He's got to get... If he wants to get through on Jan, he's got to do it soon, because Jan's also looking... You know, he's starting to eye up some moves on Bents. Got 5 laps of the race left to go, and currently it will be 1-2 for Mercedes. And oh, Jack outside the 1 second now. Speaking of 1 second gaps. So this is key for Fassi. And you can see now Jack's going to use a bit more ERS, but Ishmael can use more. He's got 98, Jack's on 10. So nothing he can do. And Jan David overtaken there by Istvan Pookie. We missed that one for 4th place. And now it's time for Istvan to try and get 3rd, which if he can do, it would be a great comeback in this race. Because at one point I'm thinking, oh no, he's going to be, you know, he's going to be suffering for P10 here because of that incident he had, but his pace is phenomenal, and he's now looking to try and take P3 again. Jack back into the 1 second of Ishmael, and Mike Klein gets another 3 second time penalty, and he's down in 15th, so it doesn't really matter at all. As we head through, up in towards Rouge Radion. Now with the DRS for all these guys in this 1 second train. We'll see if Istvan can try and make something work in the second part of this lap. I think, to be fair, most of the moves we've had are coming out of Paul Frere in towards turn 18-19. Like, when it comes to no DRS, there is quite a few moves actually without DRS, and that is also because, I suppose, throughout the session is a big skill gap, but it is nice to see overtakes in more places than just DRS zones. We had Jack West looking for an overtake into P1 on lap 1, which was frightening to say the least. We've had people overtaking where I said before, Blanchimont, in towards the bus stop chicane. But overtakes in towards Stavelot, the chicane. A few people go side by side through there. So many places we've seen overtakes, which is great. And it's nice not just to rely off DRS for once. As we head through, Pookie. Now looking to open move on Sabakonyi. So using all his ERS now. So head down. 1.8 tenths is the gap. 1.6 tenths. 1.5. 1.4. He's going to have to send it up the inside shortly, isn't he? But no, he's going to have to send it around the outside. And great defence there from Bents, using Jack as a bit of a blockade. Oh, they go through. There is Fan getting collected nearly by Bents. Being really goes completely on that curve there. Down at turn 19, and still Bents stays ahead. Now Jan Hode could be looking for a move. No, he can't. So he was gaining, but just not enough to make anything work just yet. So Bents obviously wanted to defend this position like hell, as he does want this P3 ahead of Pookie, of course. As you know, head through. Jan, 1.6 tenths back. So now this could be a possibility for Jan to get through an Istvan, because he's got battery to use, but he doesn't want to seem to use much battery yet. And Istvan's on literally nothing. So I'm surprised Jan isn't trying to burn to get through. I thought he would have burnt at least maybe 10-15% to try and get through, but yeah, doesn't seem to want to. And Tyvar gets through on Tamash Gal. That's down at Lake Com. Gets himself into 9th. So Tamas now dropping into 10th position. Could also be under pressure from Dimas. And Pookie has got a penalty. I did not see that one either. What's that? Is that 3 seconds? Yes, it is. So Pookie now going to drop behind Jan and Sergio. So puts Jan now into provisional P4. Pookie knows he's got nothing to lose, so might as well go for some moves where he can. He's going to be looking to get through because look at this here. Jack West letting off. It seems like he's letting off completely. He's fine, just riding on the back of these two through here and into Paul Frere now. Do we see any overtakes? Because, yeah, it could have been a bit of work between Jack and Ishmael, possibly, because, look, Jack's dropped 5/10 on that part of the lap alone, and he's dropped so much time. Has Jack got issues? Because he's really slow. He's now under pressure from Jan Halliday going through. And also, Pookie, under pressure, Konya, yet again under pressure from Pookie, going into the bus stop. Chicane can't make anything work just yet, and yeah. What happened to Jack there? But he lost bundles of time, and now Jack's going to look for a move on the outside of turn 1 on La Source on Pookie. Can he try and get through? No, we can't, but now we could see. Can Jan Halliday try and make something work? No, we can't just yet. So the battle's getting heavy now, and Jack going to send it in towards Rouge Radion, and he does send it. These two go side by side. Jan going to look to try and get the two of them. Oh, and there's a penalty for Jan, a penalty for Jack. And now they head down, and Jan being pushed onto the grass by Pookie. Can Jan try and get through on these two then to Lacombe? I think he will. And they're going to go 3 wide into it. Jack breaks later, goes a bit too deep. Isfan, does he get ahead? No, he's going to look for a move on. Jan Halliday round the outside. Sergio Sabrino also getting involved now to try and take P6 off of Jack West. And now, Sergio, he's looking for a P3 because of the penalties. Ben Sabakonyi's going to try and just get himself a little bit ahead. Max Fiesel gets through there, but he's also got a 3-second time penalty. So 3rd to 6th, all with penalties, helps Sergio Sabrino, helps Tamas Gal as well, because he's in this train and he could jump up to P4 because of these absolute bunches of penalties. And now Ishmael leads by 2 seconds. Also has to spin. That's Nelson Alves trying for a move on Sergio, along with Valentin Tyvard, their round down at Pillon, and all hell breaking loose now, coming on to the last 2 laps of the race. So surely a few of these penalties could be removed, possibly, because I'm not sure how Jan got one, because he didn't really cut the trap, did he? Just said 3 seconds, same as Jack. I'm not sure how they cut the trap there. And that's also Dimas down. He's spun. He's then going to drop down to 13th. Could have tried to have a bit of profitability off of these penalties, but can't do so because he's had some incidents. And now Valentin Tyvard also binned it again at Campus. There we go through onto lap 21 of 22. And there could be a possibility to see if we can get any more moves down in towards La Source. And it's another instance. That's Tyvard again. Dropped it down at Stavelo. And Nelson Alves is retired in the pit lane in P10. And now we'll see. Do we get anyone trying to make moves yet again down in towards Lacombe? Because we had last time, there you go, 4 of them through in towards Lacombe. And DRS usage now 4. It's on Pookie. Can he try and get through on Ben Sabakonyi down towards Lacombe? I think he will, because he's got lots of DRS at bay, but Benson's got a bit of DRS to just defend. So, yeah. Pookie not going to go for anything just yet. Jack West is nearly outside the 1 second. He's been overtaken by Max Fiesel. They're going side by side through in towards the end of Lacombe now at turn 9. Now going down in towards Brussels. Which one of them is going to be ahead? It will be Max Fiesel, who takes provisional 5th, but he will drop down because of the penalties. Now we've got Sergio Sabrino, who's sitting in this battle, just chilling behind, thinking, what's going on here? Everyone's going so slow. And he's just sitting here and everything happened. And we've got 3 yellow sectors. Some around that's Lacombe, that's Nelson's car. We've got Tyvard down at the chicane. We've got a Mercedes, that's Jack West. He's run out of fuel. That's what the issue is. Jack West, I believe, has run out of fuel. Or something. Or he's got a puncture. Has he got a puncture? I can't tell. At all. I think he's got a puncture on the rear left. I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell, but I think he has. On the rear left of the car. It's really hard to... I can't really tell what the issue is for Jack, but I think it might be. But he's ghosted. Actually, no, but he's ghosted, so he's Jack left the session. Because he's constantly ghosted. Now we look a bit further back up to the field to begin the final lap. Now, Pookie wants to get through on Kanye. So does Jan. So now, looking for a podium is Sergio Sabrino. Looking for P4 or 5 is Tamas Gal. So this would work heavily for them. But now we'll see as we go down. In towards Eau Rouge Radion. And these 3 are still going to fight for position, because why not? Sergio's going to get them anyway, so they might as well fight for it. as they come through. The gap's 3 seconds between Ishmael and Bent, so they're going to be fine. Now, we'll see. Isfan looking to get through, yet Jack's pitted onto so he must have had a pit puncture. Now, side by side going in towards Lakecom. Isfan gets through on Bents. Now, can Jan try and get something to work? I don't think he will. Because, yeah, there we are. So Bents now down to third. He'll get back second because of the penalty. And Jan there looking to try and make something work. Can't gain enough just yet. But he's right on the back of Bents now. He's got his penalty, so we will drop 2 positions. Possibly, yeah, we will drop 2 positions, of course. And Dale Trexfat gets the fastest lap on the soft tyres of 44.013. And yeah, there you are, Lee. That's the answer at 44.013. Just set. As we go through, and back at the front, Ishmael heading through now in towards Stavelo. As we got the battles going on there, is down at, well, going into Stavelo as well. And Jan, looking 3/10 back, could look for something to work. No DRS opportunities anymore, but there is slipstream opportunities. He's got more ERS to use than Bents. This is a battle for P3. Let's see who will get ahead going in towards the bus stop again, because it is the final lap of the race. And I want to swap to Ishmael as quick as I can, so I can see him win. But Jan's going to go around the outside on Bents. Bents is going to try and hold it. I don't think he can. But back to the front of Ishmael Fassi. Come through the final corner to win the Belgian Grand Prix. Perfect there from Ishmael. And now a 5-second penalty for Jan Halliday. He's going to drop down. But Istvan Pukki takes P2. No, Bents Abakonya takes P2. And then P3 for Istvan Pukki. As P4 for Sergio Sobrino. Istvan just about 5/10 got it to Sergio. So P4 for Sergio. Pretty decent race. Started P10 up to 4th. Then Tamas Gale comes down 5th. 6th for Max Wiesel. 7th for Jan Halliday as he got that extra 5-second penalty. So he drops completely back down. Then we have Corne de Baca who finishes in 8th. Then Van Santa Maria in 9th. And then the top 10 rounds out with Alexander Dimas. And then we have Jack West who comes home P11. Still not sure what happened to him, of course. Then we have Al Trexfer who's going to come home as well into P12. But yeah. The race ended really bad, isn't it, for Jack? He was looking for a win at one point. Ishmael won by 5 seconds. Dominant. That's all I can say. Absolutely dominant from Ishmael Fassi. As there we are, the second Red Bull to come through the line. And then Mike Klein, the final of them all to cross the line because Modesto crossed before the final lap. So he was pretty much a lap down nearly. And Mike coming through the final few corners now. Final few corners of shame. Finishing in P13. 45 seconds back off P12. Into Blanchimont. Before hitting the bus stop chicane. And deploy used. Hang on. I've never seen that sign on any of the cars before. Deploy used. I don't know why, but I've never seen that at all. It's a weird one. Up to line, Mike Klein takes 13th, and that is the end of the race. And we can see shortly the classification of the Grand Prix. When it wants to load, of course. And driver of the day, Tamashkal, of course, P9 to P5. Benefited heavily off those penalties, and I think he knows definitely that that strategy wasn't the best. Medium to hard. And also, Cameron's dad, thanks for joining in with us today, mate. Obviously, Cameron not racing, but it's still nice to see you showing some support in the chat, of course. But there we are. Ishmael Fassi takes the win. 5 seconds to Benson Abakonya. Then Istvan Pukki with a penalty. Finishes in 3rd. 5/10 ahead of Sobrino, who finishes in 4th. And Tamashkal also in 5th because of the penalty. So then we have 6th, 7th and 8th. Max, Jan and Corne. And then we have Ivan Santamaria and Alexander Dimas in the top 10. Which has changed heavily because we had these guys starting 13th, 11th, and 13th, 12th, and 11th. And they finished 8th, 9th and 10th. Then we have Jack West finishing in 11th, followed by Al Trexfat and Mike Klein. Then, unfortunately, we had Modesto, Nelson, Valentin, Tim, Danny, Enrique, and Andres all out of the session. So, a pretty decent race, many penalties. So, hopefully, the drivers in the shredded race on Thursday, which is 5 days' time, don't get involved in much at all. In terms of penalties, we had that incident between Pukki and Tyvard. Would be nice to figure out how that happened, and also I'm intrigued to see what happened to Jack West because that's a very confusing one, indeed. But looking at the calendar before we head off, we can see we got one final round, which is on the 21st of May, which is next Sunday, which is at Brazil, which is, I'd say, the best track on this calendar for side-by-side racing, by far. So we could see some great racing there at Brazil, and many different strategies come into play there. So that should be very interesting. But thank you, anyone. Thank you, everyone, yet again for joining us for round 5 or 4, the ET8 Challengers Cup. And we'll be back next week So have a good one and goodbye.